Some men aren't looking for anything logical, like money. They can't be bought, bullied, reasoned, or negotiated with. Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and we're about 5 or 6 issues into James Tynion's Batman run. It's certainly different than what Tom King was doing before him, and I think it's definitely better, but it's debatable on what he has improved or how much he's improved. And I kind of wanted to talk about some aspects of Tynion's Batman run, and specifically, one of the villains that he's introduced. And here to talk with me about this today is the first time on the channel. We've been talking comics for a long time now, though, but it's your first time talking about comics on the actual channel. Welcome to the channel.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Wes. Happy to be here.
I think everybody was anticipating the change when Tom King's Batman, it just kind of fell off the rails. I thought, in the lead up to the wedding, and it just never really found its footing creatively after that. And I think where people were wanting a change, and it's certainly, there's been a huge change as far as the tone, the characterization, now that Tynion's on there, and, a little bit with the art as well with Guy March and Tony Daniels. And I believe this week we got Jorge Jimenez. Just what are your general feelings or thoughts on Tynion's Batman run so far?
Well, it's definitely great to see kind of characters back in form and kind of seeing the Gotham that I recognize and not one where Bruce is kind of brooding around. But definitely there are still some leftover components from Tom King's run, and we're seeing the leftover relationship between him and Catwoman kind of playing a role, and they still don't necessarily trust each other. And the Bat family is not that present either, but at least we're getting kind of the classic rogue gallery, and at least one new villain to see. But there's a little bit different change in the character. We're seeing a lot of new technology being used, and Bruce has this whole new design for the city, and that kind of theme seems to be what this whole arc is about, design.
With the death of Alfred within King's run, it's left a big change in Batman Bruce Wayne. And one of the key components of Tynion's run is that he wants to change the city and make Gotham the city that Alfred always believed it could be with Bruce's help. And to do that, he's kind of redesigning the city, but also Lucius Fox has kind of stepped in to be kind of the new Alfred, not quite maybe the emotional support, but more of like the man in the earpiece or the guy in the chair supporting him for operations. And I think that's actually worked pretty good. I kind of like Lucius Fox.
Yeah, me too. I keep reading him as the character from the Nolan movies in my head, and it's a familiar character to have around. But just back to the Alfred, I know from issue 86, Bruce was describing he used to make all these doodles of Gotham in his notebook, and Alfred would refer to it as my little Gotham or Bruce's little Gotham. And these are the designs for the city he had that lived in his head. And it was just kind of setting up from page 1 that this is all going to be about dark designs and who has a better design for the future of the city. And that seems to be the main point of contention in this arc.
Within the first couple issues, all of a sudden, Slade Wilson shows up. He's got a team of mercenaries, and they're coming in to kick off the ultimate job. It has components of like planning with Catwoman, the Riddler, the Joker, all the main rogues. I believe Penguin is in there as well. Apparently, they concocted this elaborate plan with a character called the Designer, who's the big new villain that's been introduced so far, like years before, but they never actually executed it. And Slade Wilson and his team are kind of like the first wave to kick the plan into motion. That part I think is actually pretty cool. What did you think about, before they actually introduced the Designer, physically, what way they talk about him? He sounded like a really interesting character.
Yeah, I agree. Even before the issues came out, I heard rumors about this new villain called the Designer. I have some exposure for background in design and kind of futuristic things. So in my head, I thought that this would be this kind of futuristic tech villain that'd be really sleek, kind of in line with the way that they're using technology kind of to compete with this futuristic vision of Gotham. And it was surprising to me that the character kind of looks a little bit more like out of manga and has this kind of like mystical powers and isn't really kind of the Designer I had in mind. That said, he still has some interesting components to him, and I'm curious to see how his design is going to play out.
Yeah, it's definitely an elaborate plan. We talk about the actual design of the character, not exactly the sleek design we were looking for. He's got some camouflage pants on. I believe he's got like a fur coat, like some big chains, and he's got like a white mask with an
big
elaborate
logo on the face.
Yeah. And doesn't feel like a timeless design. Like Joker, when you look at that villain, the way that he was created originally. That's a timeless design. Penguin, more of a timeless design. This one feels like it's going to be dated fast to me.
Yeah, I would agree. And Tynion said that it should feel like something not even from Batman, like it's out of an element and was deliberately made to feel like something from Final Fantasy or Metal Gear Solid. So it really kind of stands out to me like a sore thumb. And I would have a hard time imagining this character being reused by future kind of authors, and something that keeps showing up seems a bit more like a foil for the current rogues.
Yeah, I do believe that he's actually a plot device. I think he's less meant to be like a new addition to the rogues gallery, is more of something for them to overcome to move into the next plot. And the reason I think that is he's not really well developed. Yes, they did go back and sort of give him an origin where he brought in the rogues into like his cabin. They had this meeting and they all got these one-on-one meetings, and they were crafting these elaborate designs so Catwoman could be 10 steps ahead of Bruce and steal more money than she could have ever imagined. And they all had like their wish list, and he designed how they were going to concoct these things and execute them, which I guess is the origin of the character. But you never find out why he's so tactically or strategically sound, why he can think 10 steps ahead of Batman. Why is he able to concoct these? Does he have super intelligence? Did he have a relationship with Bruce Wayne at some point? Does he know that he's Batman? Why is he able to do this? You just kind of have to take it at Tynion and in the narrator's word in the story.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I just wanted to double back on his cabin. In my reread, I realized it was called the Tartarus House, which was actually something from Greek mythology as kind of a prison in the abyss to hold the Titans. So you can kind of see that if that's the name of his house, he's trying to almost trap these Titans of Batman's rogues and kind of play them. But because Joker actually really drives him mad, and Joker turns out to be the abyss itself, it's more like, I'm not in here with you, you're in here with me. And the Joker itself is kind of like the Tartarus House, trapping Designer as a Titan into his own abyss. And that's really where I think that the Designer is more and more of a plot device to kind of elevate the Joker into this devil character, as they keep referring to the Designer as the devil. And it seems like this is just leading towards the Joker is actually the devil.
When they did the meeting in the Tartarus house, everything goes smoothly. Everyone has their plans and they're all stoked. Like they're all talking like, I can't believe this. And then Joker goes last and it just kind of all falls apart because, he's insane. He obviously wasn't the perfect person to plan anything with, because he's the ultimate wild card. You can't plan something 10 steps ahead of anybody with Joker because you never know what he's going to do. And I think that's kind of the point of it, at least kind of the way I took it.
Yeah, same as well. I just thought that this kind of into the abyss thing, I think there's even a line where Catwoman says that the Designer must have looked into the Joker's eyes and saw the abyss. So it's even kind of a callback to the name of the house, and that, the Joker is more of the Tartarus house itself than the house they're in. And that's definitely what triggers the Designer to say, kill them all. And the plan falls apart right there.
Yes. And then, of course, we know the rogues escaped. And this all happened, I believe a decade before. I believe it was 10 years before that's actually being enacted. So there's all these weird things going on around town. Bruce and Lucius have designed the most escape-proof prison in the history of the world. Like there's only one way in. Batman's the only person that has access to it. But all of a sudden, the prisoners are being released from there, but we never know why. Like all these events are happening, and they're all happening separately, but the Designers, orchestrating them all. There's really nothing connecting them together. It's never explained. And that's my biggest problem with the story and the character, is that we're all just supposed to take it, on faith. That there's a lot of tell and almost no show right here as far as why he's able to do this.
Yeah, I would agree. And personally, I'm a little bit getting tired of this idea that there are all these secrets from Batman's past that he just finds out about now, whether that be about the Court of Owls or even in Elseworld stories like in Sean Gordon Murphy. And so here again, you're supposed to think that he's made some progress with his relationship with Catwoman, and the rug gets pulled out underneath you once again. And it's like, oh, can we really trust her? There's some secret we haven't revealed. And that seems a little bit played out to me.
Once she tells him like the story, and that was probably my least favorite issue, is when she goes back and told that entire story. I was like, man, this is really ill-paced. And it feels like this story is being written for like the omnibus or something. This is going to be more than one trade. It's very slow paced, and it's one of the things that I'm not really enjoying about it. But there's also some other weird characterization. I can't believe for a minute that Batman would ever let Harley Quinn have access to an Air Force full of his drones to try and stop anybody.
Yeah, I completely thought that was really out of character, and I don't really understand what the relationship was with Harley Quinn and Batman during the Tom King run because I wasn't reading it in detail, but she just kind of shows up. She's like, "Hey, Bats, I'm like your friend now, right? There's a whole bunch of Joker stuff cooking." And he just gets recruited as part of the Batman team. Didn't really make any sense to me.
Yeah, she is essentially a serial killer. Like, why would he trust her with anything, let alone his technology? Now she has access to it and stuff like that. And of course, she ruins the whole plan, and she doesn't catch who she's supposed to because she's a moron. She doesn't know apparently how to fly 100 drones at once. So that's kind of where some of the stuff falls off. That characterization is bad. Otherwise, I think the characterization on the villains has actually been really good. That's one of the things that I think Tynion's kind of like nailed, especially, with, Penguin, Riddler, basically going insane, trying to solve like the riddle of Gotham and some of that stuff. So I am enjoying that part as far as the rogues go.
Yeah, I think the rogues are pretty on point of how you imagine them, and even more so in the flashback. But Joker is kind of the Joker that you expect, and Penguin as well. The Riddler is a little bit mutated, but he's still up to his tricks. So that's also
he's definitely physically deformed. I didn't like the way that like he had. I can't remember the name, but where you're basically get hunchbacked in your spinal cord makes a cue. I guess he's the Riddler.
I didn't catch that.
So, yeah, I didn't like that part, but otherwise, like it's been pretty cool. But I'm with you. I feel like the reason that like the designer isn't getting fleshed out and like some of these other villains is because he's not a long-term play. I'll say it. I'm pretty sure that the Joker is going to overcome him and murder him at the end of it, and we'll never see the character again because this is all leading into Joker War.
Yeah, it seems to be the projection I'm picking up too, and it's almost like the designer is just a guy that runs supervillain workshops, and you're never going to find out much more.
So in one respect, I'm somewhat interested in Joker. Actually, I'm going to read that. That could be really cool. But why am I investing like this is going to end up being like 4 or 5 months worth of Batman comic books into this character that it feels like he's going to end up in the end be throwaway?
Yeah, that's the feeling I'm getting as well. I don't see that many people being able to reuse him, especially with not much show and not much backstory, which is a shame because I would really love to see Tynion make his mark by introducing a new rogue that is something that can actually be timeless and live beyond this current arc. I always love to see new villains, and we've seen that in recent years, for better or worse, with something like the Batman Who Laughs. He starts to live beyond Snyder's own creation, and that's really what you want to see with the new character, whether or not you like that one in particular. And I just don't see it. I don't see anyone asking for a designer T-shirt or poster or anything like that.
Yeah, I get the feeling that Punchline is the character that they're kind of expecting to cash in on.
Yeah, they're even advertising like every single issue you can find her in between the pages.
Yeah, and I know her first appearance in, I think it was Batman '89. All of a sudden, before the comic even hit the shelves, it was like 25 to 30, $40 in some comic shops. And I believe her appearance in Hell Arisen did the same thing for that. But we haven't even really seen her. She's just kind of watching people and checking with the Joker to let him know what's happening, right?
Yeah, I think she also showed up in Hell Arisen, maybe number 3, where she was like holding Lex Luthor's assistant hostage. But so far, there's been zero characterization. And I think that they're waiting for the Joker's 80th special that says we'll have her origin in it. So that's really where you're going to have to go to find. I'm not sure who's writing it.
So are you excited about Punchline? You said you like new villains. It sounds like she's going to be like the new replacement for Harley Quinn. Now that Harley, I guess, is an anti-hero. Doesn't really make a lot of sense. So, what have you learned about Punchline? Are you excited about that character?
Hard to be excited because I haven't learned one thing other than that she's a Joker's new squeeze. There's been zero characterization so far, so I'm hopeful that she has an exciting origin. I always like, characters that make you reflect on yourself and other people or enrich the story. So I think we're going to have to hold out to either more appearances or see what her origin may be. So I'm going to withhold judgment till then.
I do think, this is all kind of leading to Joker War. And I think that's really where we're going to get a better feeling on just how exciting Tynion's Batman run really is going to be and where it's heading. But so far, I'm enjoying the story. I think it's paced a little bit too slow. I think the designer isn't as cool as maybe he could be, but I think that's all by design because I don't think, like I said, I don't think he's meant to leave a mark. Whereas I think Punchline is supposed to be an impactful, long-lasting character. You're obviously you're sticking around on this Tynion run on Batman, to kind of get into Joker War, right?
Yeah, I mean, when I used to be back in comics a year ago, Batman was the main thing I read, almost all the different ones between issues 600 and 700. Took a break from comics, came back. It was the middle of the Tom King run. I was like, what is this? So I'm at least excited that, it's enjoyable to read each issue, whether or not it's slow. It's just happy to have Batman in my regular reading pile again.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of good Batman right now. Detective Comics has really been great. Although it feels like it's a little bit of a lull right now, but I know a lot of people are enjoying Batman's Grave from Warren Ellis.
Yeah, that one's fun, but it's very action-oriented, not much dialogue going on.
And Curse of White Knight obviously just ended, but there's a lot of good This maybe not the best time in the history of the world to be a Batman fan, but definitely there's a lot of great Batman out there right now.
I think we're on the upswing for sure.
All right, so is there anything else that you wanted to say? We kind of covered, the basics of James Tynion's Batman run and our thoughts kind of on the designer and where we think it's all heading. Was there anything else that we needed to cover before we head out?
I think we pretty much covered everything, given the amount of info is actually there for the designer, and everything else seems to be a little bit back to normal. So I'm excited to see this all kind of come to a head in the Joker War.
Well, thank you so much for joining the channel, man. I really appreciate it, and I hope you come back sometime.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You will not believe how often this happens to me, because the Philippines has the most unreliable internet in the world. I'm always getting kicked off my own recordings. So it's embarrassing. Oh, wait for me. I'm coming back.
Hope that doesn't cause too much editing trouble.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat po, and I'm out.